Ask the people in southern Lebanon, and they will ask, what ceasefire are you talking about? You just mentioned the Israeli strikes, which are constantly happening in southern Lebanon, evacuation orders as well. This is a daily thing, and the same thing applies for the Israeli side. The residents of the northern communities in Israel are furious. What kind of a ceasefire is this? They're asking if the northern border communities are targeted time and time again. Not only the soldiers operating in Lebanon, you can call them maybe military targets, but the civilians in northern Israel are civilian targets which are being hit over and over. The only thing that maybe there is an agreement on is that Israel strikes mostly in southern Lebanon and not further north into Beirut, and Hezbollah does not strike further south into Haifa or central Israel. But other than that, the strikes are ongoing, and the residents in northern Israel in the border communities are asking why is it legitimate to hit us as opposed to others, when it is very clear that if Hezbollah would strike further south into Israel, then the Israeli retaliation would be much tougher. So a lot of anger in northern Israeli communities. I would say the same applies for southern Lebanon. The residents there are saying, if we're being hit time and time again, if there are evacuation orders practically every day, what kind of a ceasefire are we talking about?
And Jonathan, briefly, can you tell us the details of the ceasefire? How long is it going to be extended by?
So we're looking at a 45-day extension. As you said, the fighting on the ground is ongoing, but there seems to be certain rules of engagement, certain parameters. Israel does not fire in Beirut, in the Dahya neighborhood. There have been, during the ceasefire, the month-long ceasefire so far, there were a few strikes in Beirut, in the Baka area, another Hezbollah stronghold in northeastern Lebanon, but almost all of the Israeli strikes are taking place in an area of southern Lebanon. And at the same time, Hezbollah is striking only within the northern border. It seems as if the countries are trying to work something, because let's remember, when we're speaking of Lebanon and we're speaking of Hezbollah, these are two completely different things. The state of Lebanon would mostly support a ceasefire with Israel, but the state of Lebanon, unfortunately, is not really the one calling the shots in Lebanon. It is Hezbollah.
And if we look at Gaza, Israel's military says it's killed a senior military commander of Hamas. Do we have confirmation either from the government in Israel or from Hamas itself?
Yes, the confirmation came from the army, not from Benjamin Netanyahu or Defense Minister Israel Katz. I would assume they would do it a bit later, once the Jewish Sabbath is over, in about 3 hours from now. The confirmation this afternoon came from the Israeli military and the internal service, the internal security agency, the ISA. They confirmed the fact that the strike did take place, and we did see also a funeral in Gaza, which Gazan sources are saying is the funeral of Izzadin al-Haddad, who was the main leader of the military wing who still remained in Gaza. So I would assume that later on, once the Jewish Sabbath is over this evening, we will probably get also the confirmation from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He would usually not miss such an opportunity. The confirmation so far coming from the army and the Internal Security Agency.